Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the video. This is something new for me. I am going to be doing a little production, pre-production, post-production diary for the film Blood Totem. I've never really let people inside my process before. I'm not sure how interested you guys will be in it, but I just thought it would be kind of a cool thing to talk about a little bit. First, let's talk about micro-budget film and what that means. For the purposes of this video and how I regard micro-budget film, we're talking about any feature-length film intended for distribution that has an overall spend of less than $100,000. And I just want to, explain the process of being a micro-budget filmmaker, about 6 weeks away from principal photography, where things are now, what needs to be done, and kind of document my journey going through this little process. If you guys dig it, I'll make more videos like this. Sorry for the inferior lighting, all my DP friends. Anyway, it's just a tiny little camera set up in my office. Not a lot of space, but there my excuses are out of the way. Okay, hopefully the audio's all right too, because I'm doing my own sound, which, that's kind of incumbent on everything that I do. As a micro-budget filmmaker, it's really important to distinguish the difference between how things are supposed to be done on a properly run set and then how things need to be done on a micro-budget. Never the two shall meet. So we have to find creative compromises to get the production value that we want to deliver to our audience.
Mister, go for your gun.
Firing.
Down. Boom, boom, boom. You get him behind there. Boom.
I think with everything starts with the script. And in my case, and in the case of every film, but particularly on micro budget, you're really writing to your budget, what you think you can accomplish with very limited financial means and, not a lot of days to shoot and all that good stuff. So what I started with is the same thing I start with every film that I've done. I look at what I can get for free or next to free, very low cost, that's right around me. And I live in Arizona, so that happens to be stuff that, favors more the Western motif. We have beautiful landscapes. We have historical reenactors that have played background and been cast in actual, acting roles in my films. They bring a whole level of authenticity to what we're doing. And then also, just anybody who's interested in how independent film is financed, produced, distributed, you have to make films in a genre that people want to see your work. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no one wants to see you guys, or me, do a heartfelt drama. That just doesn't sell, unfortunately. Comedy's really tough. I know a lot of people are interested in comedy, as am I, but that's hard. You have to kind of limit your scope to what distributors are willing to put out and what audiences expect from small film. And that is more or less the areas where Hollywood doesn't get too saturated with their content, and that's horror films. Horror films are a lot of fun to make if you take the right approach to them. I mean, I love the genre, but even if, let's say, you're a little more hesitant to get into something like horror, think about horrors can be funny. They can be dramatic. They can be, all those different kind of nuance. And, now with the success of some major, Jordan Peele work and things like that, horror has kind of come into the mainstream and it's become more accepted. It's not just regarded B cinema, which I hate that term. Independent cinema is what I tell people. Maybe that's C cinema, I don't know. You start with kind of budgeting out what you're going to need to pay for, where you think you can save some money. I think doing a budget, I could do a whole video just on that. But you essentially go into war is what I call it. If you go into production with the idea that you have to save every single dollar, because if you have that mindset and you're trying to get, something's $1, you got to try to pay 15 cents for it, settle at 30, settle at 40 cents. Even if you think you have plenty of money left in the budget, because you don't. I promise you don't. When you're making films on a shoestring, what always happens is Murphy's always on the job. There's something that's going to come up where you're going to need funds and you need to have a contingency. It's very hard to have a standard contingency the way a proper film budget on a properly budgeted shoot would be, 10% or something like that. You can't really do that. You can't allocate 10% of your stuff just for contingency, but you need to, as you go in, try to save $1 here, $1 there. Try to negotiate with people, with location owners, with every expense that you incur, catering costs, you name it. Try to find a way to get it for cheaper. And don't ever feel guilty about that, because I promise you, before you're offset, or at least before you deliver your film, you're going to need that money that you've made. Let's say you scraped up a couple $1,000s in savings, you're going to be spending that. The really important thing about micro budget films is just, again, to never get it mixed up with even properly budgeted independent, and certainly not Hollywood. Like, forget all that. When you go to film school, if you go to film school, you can learn a lot about how a set is properly run, what all the different department heads do, what all the different jobs are. And the fact is that all those jobs are legitimate and serve a real function. So if you want to move into making your own feature films, though, those jobs are very few and far between. You can be a very established actor, crew member, whatever, makeup artist. If you want to do your own thing, you're going to be starting a micro budget unless you win the lottery or something. So you have to more or less kind of set aside everything you learned in film school, or if you've been working in the industry in a different occupation, let's say, than a producer or director, you need to set all that aside and you need to just start from scratch, which is, what do I actually need to make this movie? The good news, and there is good news here, is that we've never been, technology's come such a long way. I'm shooting this now on a Sony a7 IV, which has kind of become my new daily driver camera. It's replaced my I love my Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro and 4K. I love those cameras, but it's kind of replaced those because it's got this autofocus. I mean, that essentially eliminates a real crew position, which is focus puller. Yes, in a perfect world, you can hire a great focus puller, and that's wonderful. You don't live in that world, not micro budget. So this camera was, I think, $2,600. I don't know, something around that. Before that, I had the Blackmagic. I still have my Blackmagic. I'm never going to get rid of that. I love that image quality. The skin tones, they're amazing. But the autofocus is what brought me to Sony, and it gives a very good image, I think. But basically, think about that. Think about what type of gear you really need. What type of lighting you really need. You can't get brand snobbery or thinking you need an Arri Alexa or even a Red or anything like that. I have a Red. I haven't shot on it since I got my Blackmagic. I haven't shot on my Blackmagic since I got my Sony. And why? Because the smaller the camera, the better the features like autofocus that is actually pretty intuitive and good. It's not just for grandma anymore. Another argument against big equipment, let's say you go to a film school and you have access to a professional camera, you don't have the crew for it. You don't have the crew for it, and you don't have the time for it. And anything you want to get as far as support, jib arms, dollies, everything is going to go up. Everything goes up in price. If you stay in that prosumer level, you can get some really great stuff from DJI. You can get, Aputure makes wonderful lights. You don't need sky panels. Aputures are great. They're beautiful. No one's going to know the difference whether you had an Arri sky panel or an Aputure Nova or an Aputure Amaran line. No one's going to care. They want to see your story. They want to see your abilities as a storyteller and what you can do with the tools that you have. The same thing goes for post-production. A lot of people put roadblocks in their head. I won't edit my own movies. Well, okay. Try to find someone else who's as committed to your micro-budget idea as you are. You can't afford that. You will not be able to pay someone who's a professional to take your work seriously. Unless, again, you hit the lottery. So learn how to edit. Nothing's easy per se, but nothing's rocket science either if you apply yourself. I've edited every one of my movies since the first one, and people say is that, because you want to just keep control of everything, blah, blah, blah. Well, the honest answer is I can't afford anybody who's better than me. There's many more people who are far more talented at editing than I am. They're out of my price range. So sticking in the micro budget, that's just not something that we can do. If you're musically inclined, I encourage you to score your own film. If you're cinematically inclined at all, try to DP your own film. There's another benefit to this too, as far as doing it all, this run and gun, DIY, one-man army, one-woman army stuff, is that you're going to learn every department. I guess you'd be more the jack of all trades, master of none. But when and if you do get into bigger productions, you're going to have a knowledge base that's pretty strong. You're going to understand the difference between a 5.1 and a 7.1 mix. You're going to understand the difference between shooting log or shooting raw. You're going to understand what all this means. And that is actually going to help you create your vision a lot more and communicate to professional cinematographers, professional editors, professional everything, what you really want. And you know that it's something that you can actually achieve. So anyway, guys, just, to recap a little bit, this is just kind of my crash course on, I didn't really mean for this video to take that turn, but it did, and that's fine. Where I'm at in this production right now, I'm testing special effects, different methods to try to accomplish some really cool visual effects, what I can do on set, what I can do in post-production. I'm starting to kind of roster up, getting a mind for the actors that I want for different roles. running a little crowd fund. So if you guys can check that out, contribute, you will be very thanked by me. Very thanked. Is that a thing? Whatever. I just said it. I made it a thing. Very much thanked. And, you know, essentially, if people respond well to this, I'll put out more content as I go through the process, camera test, special effects test, you know, kind of what gear I use. I know I talked a little bit about the camera, but I could get into a lot more detail. But, you know, guys, hit me up. Let me know what you're interested in. Let me know what, you know, you want to hear more about. If you like this video, thumbs up. If you hated it, make sure you give it a really big thumbs down, and then go create like a you know, a fake Gmail or Yahoo account and give it a second thumbs down. Really let know people how you feel. Anyway, no, hope you guys liked it. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
No one intervened on behalf of